All right, welcome everybody to our webinar today. We appreciate everybody jumping on. There's folks are still coming on, but I think we've got a lot of information to cover today. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. We're lucky to have Michaela with us today. A lot of interest in this topic, as I know a lot of this that are looking forward to college next year are on how to pay for it. So she's presented a lot of information for us today. I'd like to go through just a couple things real quick for everyone. First of all, throughout the presentation, we're going to stop and answer some questions. If you look in the bottom of your window there, there's a QA button. If you just open that up and type your question in there, we will keep track of all the questions and we'll be answering them throughout the webinar today. In addition, at the end, I will be putting out a link for everyone. After this, we're going to be running a series of webinars every couple weeks of general Q&A sessions. I know that a lot of folks are getting close to their applications being due, so we're going to be having some 1-hour Q&A sessions that people can just join, and it's just going to be purely we're here to answer questions. So I will be sharing that link where you can sign up for that. The first one will be October 1st. Also, at the end of this, if anyone would like more information about Moon Prep, how we can help you, understanding that you're probably getting short on time, we'd love to learn more about your situation. I will put my contact information in the chat window, and feel free to email me. All this information will also be emailed to you after this webinar, along with we will be sending out a link to this webinar so you can have these questions for the future. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Michaela Schieffer with us. She's one of our college application counselors, and we're very excited to have her with us and presenting for us today. So, Michaela, I'll let you take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Michaela and I'm a counselor with Moon Prep. Welcome to our presentation tonight. We'll be tackling scholarships, the big unknown factor in the college admissions puzzle. I'm gonna get this little thing off my screen for a second. Okay, there we go. So we're really excited to share our strategies on hunting down the maximum number of scholarships to fund your educational goals. I'll circle back to this point in a minute, but it's my firm belief that just because the college's goal as a business like any other is not to make your education free, that doesn't mean it can't be the goal for your family, especially when working with a Moon Prep counselor, because our partnerships with our students are so personalized that scholarships can absolutely be a focus for you. So I'm originally from the Midwest and wanted to go out of state for college, but I stayed in state at the very last minute. Since I was originally planning to go out of state, I pursued more scholarships trying to cover that cost than I probably would have otherwise, and actually ended up saving a lot in the long run by doing that. So to put it into perspective for you with hard numbers, my husband, who's an engineer, didn't plan in advance or pursue any scholarships and accumulated almost $50,000 in debt, while I left with less than $10,000 in loans from the exact same school for the exact same time. So if you're as good as math as I am, those are some pretty big number differences. Since graduating, I worked as a staff writer for a national magazine company and was also an honors recruiter and admissions counselor for a Big Ten conference university. So I have the unique perspective of having been the one reading admissions essays and applications on the other side. And now I get to spend my time with students all across the country with Moon Prep. We provide one-on-one counseling services, guiding students through the entire process, including writing a memorable personal statement. We also work with younger students with course selection, applying to competitive summer camps, pursuing internships, and research. While we do work with a variety of students, from business majors, education majors, everything, many of them are pursuing Ivy League schools, competitive universities, and direct medical programs, also called BSMD. You'll see that term all over our website. So in this role, all of my professional strengths have been blended together to help families, whether it's using my writing background by guest blogging at educational powerhouses like niche.com or Forbes, or helping a student edit their Common App essay, or drawing from my admissions background by having a family with or a meeting with an entire family about their financial breakdown of their top 3 schools. I'm really doing anything a family or a student needs to meet their goals. But today we're going to cover one of my personal specialties, scholarships. So like I said, scholarships were the missing puzzle piece for me in my college quest, the component that allowed me to attend college in the first place. This may be true for some of you, or scholarships may fill the financial gap between your dream school and the state college down the block. Today, we'll be discussing the type of scholarships available and how each of these categories affects the final price tag on your top schools, where to look for outside scholarships, how to create an organized scholarship list to make applying simple and not add the craziness of your senior year, and finally, what scholarship committees want to see out of your essay. So we're going to be talking about all the things today. There'll be lots of helpful tips along the way, so I really hope you have a pen handy. And I'm the one talking to you today because during that admissions role I mentioned earlier, I also had the opportunity to sit on over a dozen local scholarship committees when they were choosing the winners. So I have some fun insider tips. We have a lot of material to get through today, a lot of content. So please know that I can only really answer a limited number of questions, and I promise to be extremely thorough in what I am covering. So I'll pause throughout the webinar and give you like an advanced notice that I will be pausing to answer questions throughout, and we'll also have a Q&A at the end if there's any time left. Any questions that are outside the realm of scholarships, I'll answer through email after the webinar. So if I just don't get to your question, it's either because I'm for sure answering that or covering that answer later at some point, or maybe it's just off topic enough that I'll send you an email afterwards and connect with you. We did have some questions in advance sent in about finding international scholarships. So I've added some information to speak specifically to those questions, so they're coming up, I promise. So really the first thing to do is understand where the universities are coming from so that you have the right mindset to begin your search. No matter how high your test scores are, it's really never in the college's best interest to make attending their school completely free, and that's okay. The resources and talented professors it takes to maintain a high quality education that attracted you to their campus in the first place really takes some money, and that money needs to come from somewhere. So it's just not the college's job to make their tuition affordable to your family. They simply don't know your situation. Their job is to do the right research to price their education and then participate in need-based aid programs like the FAFSA or the CSS profile for private colleges to allow families to afford their tuition. Every college has their own pricing equation. After pricing their published tuition, also called cost of attendance, along with their housing prices and books, colleges decide on the academic scholarships to offer. So how much they can offer in scholarships at which academic benchmarks. This is something they consider when pricing their tuition in the first place, like estimating how many applicants will have a 31 ACT, because if they're offering a full ride scholarship to applicants who have a 22 ACT, then everyone attending their school would be for free, and that simply doesn't work. So this is a good starting point, knowing that the money to maintain a campus and continue attracting top professors has to come from somewhere, and a big answer to that is tuition. So it's just never in a school's interest to give their education away, which is why even a full ride academic scholarship rarely covers housing. So after considering the school's cost of attendance, which again should equal the average cost it takes to attend school for 1 year with everything included, it's up to your family to figure out where the rest of those funds will come from. But thankfully, scholarships are a great answer to that. They can truly bridge that gap. So let's discuss the types of scholarships first before I start throwing around terms. And I'll be pausing at the end of these next 2 slides to answer a question or two, just to give you some time to send in questions over these topics. There are lots of different ways to categorize these scholarships, but we are going to keep things simple now and get to the good stuff later. So the first type is merit scholarships, also called academic scholarships. This category is really straightforward, as they're awarded upon admission based on your test scores and the GPA from the end of your junior year, basically just all the numbers. And these are not based on your income, so they're just not need-based at all. These are fantastic awards to research in advance because they are often renewable for additional years. That's an easy financial answer for future years to come. And if you begin researching your top schools early enough, you can set goals for yourself before applying. Like the difference between a 28 ACT or a 30 ACT might mean an extra $3,000 and maybe only one extra time taking the test, like studying a little bit extra, which is definitely worth knowing in advance to like set a benchmark for yourself. Some schools offer an unlimited number of these admissions scholarships, and they just award them as students apply on a rolling basis, building them right into your pricing structure. Other schools have a limited quantity and work with early action deadlines, which is another reason to research in advance. Every school varies based on when these are awarded because rolling admissions will award merit scholarships as they're received, usually 30 to 90 days after admission, while an early decision deadline in November may hear back from merit awards anywhere from January through March. March is a very typical time to hear back about merit awards, giving you just enough time to compare the financial landscape of your admitted schools before National Decision Day on May 1st. Just like the graphic here shows, they're often associated with priority scholarship deadlines, which also usually match a school's early admission deadline. So again, it's just important to watch out for those deadlines during the entire admissions process to not miss out on any money. There is a lot of information out there about merit scholarships, but many answers are going to be based on the individual school. So it's really up to you to do the research in advance. So does anyone have a question over merit scholarships at this point? I'm just going to check the Q&A real quick. Give me 1 second. Just checking. Okay. Nope, so we're good. Okay, again, the big things to note here with merit scholarships are that they're the earliest scholarships you'll probably hear back from, so they may have the biggest impact on your financial decision on schools. They're also renewable, so they have the potential to really have the most long-term financial impact too. So next we have departmental scholarships or other institutional scholarships. You should inquire about these scholarships immediately after, oops, sorry, I just messed something up. So sorry, hold on 1 second. Okay, I think that's better. I'm so sorry, everyone. I hit the pause share. Okay, so sorry. Okay, I meant to hit the chat and it freaked out. Okay, so sorry. Back on track here. Okay, you should inquire about these scholarships immediately after receiving an offer of admission. They often have deadlines pretty early, so like December or January. These scholarships typically require an additional application or essay, like asking you to detail your leadership experience, community service, or a minority background. If you're interested in pursuing an honors program and having that graduated with distinction notation on your diploma, research the scholarship options available through the honors colleges. This often involves like a book scholarship or a stipend for research with an honors professor. So these funds can take shape in many different ways. You should also look into departmental scholarship opportunities of your future major. So this is like a scholarship awarded for incoming marketing majors from the business department specifically. A student that I worked with last year who was a family friend had pretty average grades and scores, really only received $2,000 in merit or academic awards from her top school when she was admitted. But she was pursuing pre-vet and received an additional $5,000 renewable award from the veterinary science department because they liked all the internships she had on her resume, which of course, the school really didn't see, and admission didn't really carry that much weight with that. So for her, researching these departmental scholarships for her major in advance and being prepared saved her quite a lot of money in the long run. Athletic scholarships kind of follow their own timeline as you have to connect with coaches and work with coaching staff to secure offers. Since the funds are usually controlled and divided up between recruits by the head coach, there's usually very little information actually published about these available scholarships. And admissions counselors even typically have very little information about athletic scholarships beyond like general statistics, because the funds are always in flux as they continue to recruit throughout the season. My big advice for pursuing athletic scholarships is to start very early. Contact coaches as early as possible to get the maximum funds and just secure your spot. Transfer scholarships are another strange sector because there's generally limited awards available. The general assumption is that you've already attended school elsewhere first to save money on core general education credits, so like a community college. So the colleges are not super eager to hand out tons of scholarships to transfer students when they know that they're basically your second choice. Think of it as schools can't really discriminate in between a student transferring in from a community college as opposed to, TCU. Obviously, one of those was a lot more expensive, but they can't say, oh, you went to a four-year college first, so you spend a lot of money. We're going to give you a scholarship, but not this other transfer scholarship that saved money by going to community college. They can't make those distinctions, so they just limit all transfer scholarships. Any questions over departmental scholarships at all? Don't see any Q&A. I see a chat. I'm going to check it and not stop the video. So yes, is this all applicable to overseas students? So a lot of this is especially departmental scholarships. There is going to be a slide, actually, I think just in one or two slides, where we're going to be talking about international students specifically studying at an American college. So I've added in information specifically for overseas students, okay? If you have a different specific question, or like if you're trying to study abroad overseas, that's different. So just clarify that if that was not answering your question. But we'll get to international students next, actually. So for international students, some of the rules are a little bit different. Like they can't apply for need-based aid, of course. For students in other countries searching for ways to attend a U.S. college affordably, finding the right school is the first step. Many schools offer great scholarships for international students, or even tuition caps to give international students a break. These are called banded tuition. These are in schools like Southwest Minnesota State and Indiana University at Bloomington. CapX.com actually has a great list of the most affordable colleges for international students. CapX.com also has a lot of scholarships just in general, and if they're having a list of affordable colleges for international students, they also have just scholarships listed for international students as well. So departmental scholarships are also one of the best ways to obtain international scholarships for students from overseas wanting to attend here, especially in the science fields. Department heads will value the brightest talent and the applicants with the most potential for putting their research on the map, which is the most important thing to department heads, rather than what country they originate from. So for them, it's going to be the research and the potential that they're most interested in, which gives international students a great chance at departmental scholarships. For international students, I do recommend searching the same scholarship search engine sites that I'll talk about in a couple slides, but just searching specifically for international scholarships. So there'll be specific ones in those sites for international students. There's also specific scholarship sites for international students too, like internationalstudent.com, that should be on your screen, /scholarships, has over 1,500, actually it says specifically 1,611 scholarships with unrestricted nationality and also unrestricted host countries. So it doesn't matter where they're coming from and where they're going. Although many of these ones are specific to a major, like specifically dentistry students and things like that. Also, the Fulbright Foreign Student Program offers financial support to international students seeking an American degree for a year or more. So that wording right there from their website indicates that this is a renewable award possibly. So that's definitely worth looking into, especially because they offer over 400 of these scholarships every year. Since a question about this specifically was emailed in prior to the webinar, students from India are also on the list of countries available for this Fulbright program. So just because that was a specific question, wanted to make sure I highlighted that. If you're a female or from a developing country, there are even more specific awards out there that I found on just a really really general Google search. It was amazing how many I found, actually. And if you're a first generation student, there are more opportunities to even count for both international and domestic students. Like, first generation students just rake in the money. It's amazing. So honestly, international students just have to do the same searching that resident students do. And again, I'll cover a lot of the what resident students can do to search too, but they'll just be using different keywords. And again, choosing an affordable school in the beginning will really help with overall costs. I recommend just a Google search, looking for schools whose tuition for out-of-state students and international students are the same. But there are lists and lists of schools that are international friendly with their tuition all the time. Are there any other questions about that? I'm just going to pull up this. I don't see anything. So if you have a question about that, we can certainly come back. Okay.
Hey, Michaela?
Yes.
We just had one come in. It says, who is first generation?
Oh, first generation are students whose like their parents didn't go to college. So it's like they're in their first generation of students in their family attending school. So for me, like my dad moved here from Germany when he was in his 20s, and he did not attend school. He went straight into the military. But my mom went to school. So if I, didn't know, if my mom had passed away when I was little or something like that and had never gone to school, and my dad had raised me, then I would be a first generation student because nobody in my family had gone to school before. Hopefully that answers your question. Since my mom went to college, I'm discounted from that. Didn't get any money for that. Okay, so there are also tuition discounts at private colleges and also work-study programs to chip away at that final price, but these are usually need-based, and we again have way too much material with just scholarships to cover the FAFSA and CSS profile too today. However, if you'd like to see a future webinar on need-based aid like the FAFSA, then add a comment below, and we can certainly plan for this in the future if it interests enough of you. Type your questions below to help us build a webinar around your specific questions, and we will tailor it to you as much as we possibly can. For now, my advice regarding need-based aid is that there are so many families out there who don't believe they'll qualify for aid, so they just don't even apply, when actually they'd be surprised what they would qualify for, especially if they have 2 kids in college at the same time, or if they live in a certain area, or just a lot of different factors factor into it. Since it certainly doesn't hurt anything, my advice is to apply for aid right away when the FAFSA opens on October 1st. Another fun fact is that if a school you're interested in has the CSS profile, this form has different requirements and benchmarks than the FAFSA. So families who wouldn't qualify for aid under the FAFSA often earn aid under the CSS profile with those schools instead. So just a thought, but it just never hurts to apply. So I recommend doing it. Anything coming in, Mark?
Yeah, just there was a clarification on that.
Oh, sure.
Questions. I don't know if you can see that parents that went to college in a different country, are they also considered first gen?
I do not believe so. I don't see that in the chat anywhere. I'm sorry.
It's in the Q&A.
Oh, okay, got it. So I do not believe that they're first gen, unfortunately, here. That is very frustrating, I know, because they could count because they're going to school for the first time here. I understand, but unfortunately, if they just attended any school, any really post-graduation school, unfortunately, it's just, you're not first gen. But I know it's great to get those scholarships. Believe me, there are amazing scholarships all over the place for first gen. So I'm sorry if I look into it and I, for some reason, find a different answer, I will email you and tell you about that, but I don't believe so. I have never heard of that being the case. Okay. So that brings us to private scholarships, and that's what we'll be spending the rest of our time exploring today. I'll pause again for questions after this slide. So these are also called outside scholarships, and this is the big mystery that every parent out there wants to crack. Where do you find these scholarships? They seem like they're just scattered all over the place. So these are privately offered through organizations outside the college. These scholarships are the true answer to an affordable college tuition because they can be applied to any school. They're not tied to a school, so you can use it wherever. So where do you begin? Many places will try to sell you their amazing method on finding scholarships, like there's a big hidden secret. Well, the big secret is that it just takes a lot of time and some organization and some legwork. So like anything worthwhile, it's okay that it's just not super easy. Like most things that seem overwhelming at first, it's best to start small, applying for scholarships with the least amount of competition. The applications for these usually ask for an activities resume, general information about like what high school you attend, what city you're in, what county, an essay of some kind, and then about half of them, I'd say like 40% of them, asked for a teacher recommendation or counselor recommendation. So remember, if you're intimidated by these requirements, other students will be too. So especially do not shy away from a scholarship that has an essay. This is where the big money is, honestly, is in the scholarships that every other student is too busy or lazy to finish because they're just more work. For each requirement on the application, imagine another opponent dropping out of the race. So like our page shows here, apply to anything and everything you can remotely relate to. Like so many times I hear a student say, well, I'm not going to apply to this because it looks like they're looking for, a health major. And really, I'm interested in very specifically like immunology. And it's like, no, just apply. It's in the same realm, just apply. So I really recommend honestly just applying to anything you can remotely relate to. Okay, so again, the big question is, where do we find these? So check first with your school's counseling website. That's going to be where the most main information is. Hopefully your school is great about keeping this up. Some schools aren't super great at it. So that's why I say follow up with your guidance counselor too. Sometimes they know of newer scholarships that have yet to be posted because they've been busy over the summer, or there's lack of staff over the summer, or they got busy with transcripts and class registrations. Sometimes there's like new ones that aren't even on the website yet, which means less competition. Go for those. You can also ask your counselor for past graduation commencement programs to see what local scholarships have been awarded or earned in the past by graduates from your specific school. Next, we're going to check the websites at other schools all around your region. Private scholarships from small businesses tend to only contact the high school they attended to post their scholarship. Like just imagine Joe's Tire Shop down the block. Who would they offer, who would they contact if they had a scholarship? Probably just the high school they attended. When in reality, there might be very few applicants from that school, and the local company's preference may be just simply to award a local student, and they don't care what high school they went to. So just be careful to check the wording and not miss a great opportunity just because you didn't check. It's important to know with all these local scholarships, though, that some prefer their money to stay in state. Some of them may have a stipulation on the wording. The recipient has to attend a local college just in state. Again, just check the wording on the scholarship application in advance to not put yourself out of a lot of time and effort if that's the case and you're planning on going out of state. So now we're going to widen our search away from schools a little, but we're still going to stay local. So again, we're keeping the pool small. Less competition is always the best, right? We need to research local organizations that offer scholarships. This is where becoming an expert on your area will really, really pay off. This is a great place to find scholarships with less competition again, which means a higher chance of snagging them. These are organizations like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Elks Club, Rotary Clubs, Toastmasters, 4-H, churches, and especially local nonprofits. Local nonprofits is like where it's at. In my city, there's a great scholarship program through a local independent business association. They award like 40 scholarships every year. It's a lot. So, and also lastly, Search the word scholarships in the search section part of the websites of every local radio station and TV station in the area too, to find some surprising hidden gems. You'd be surprised what you run into. So next, we're going to branch out a little bit again, and we're going to look into local businesses or nonprofits that have national chapters. So the best way to describe this is by giving you an example. If your area has a junior achievement chapter, this is like a national education nonprofit that has volunteers go into classrooms to talk about their jobs. If your area has a junior achievement chapter, you'll notice that their office offers local scholarships to area high schoolers for students who have attended a JA sponsored event. But there are also larger national scholarships listed on the JA USA website. So you could potentially win 2 scholarships for meeting the exact same criteria. So just like branch out. If your church offers one, say if it's like an evangelical free church or something like that, then look at the bigger governing organization behind just the local church. Just kind of like broaden out a little bit. Lastly, we have national scholarships. These have the most competition, but if you scour the internet, you will definitely find the most variety here. This group also has the highest likelihood of having scholarships for current college students. If you have an older sibling, this is the great place for them to look to. Websites like FastWeb and scholarships.com allow you to search by your major, so that allows you to be more specific in your searches. Other websites I listed here are, I said CapX earlier, sorry, I didn't put that here. Unigo, Scholarship Monkey, niche.com, FastWeb, and scholarships.com. FastWeb is where I found all of mine back in the day, and I just feel like it's not as great now, but that's like 15 years ago, so it's okay if they didn't keep up with the times or something. In addition to these big websites, I also just simply recommend a good old-fashioned Google search for your major plus scholarships, like engineering scholarships. I was giving a local speech last year at a local like junior animal science group that a friend of mine runs, and asked me to give a talk on finding scholarships. And I found over 25 scholarships, like national ones, that are just for horse owners. That's it, just horse owners. Looking through random websites in a Google search, and I only found 5 on these big national search engines for like horse education ones. So it's crazy, right? That just a Google search found an additional 20. Anything in the Q&A, ask you to spend the website CapX. Okay, Cap, CAPPEX. Did you get it? CAPPEX.
CAPPEX.com.
Yep, .com. I should have put it on there. I did run out of room, as you can see on the screen. Okay, perfect. Oh, and I think there is a chat too. Give me 1 second, guys.
I just
want to make sure I get all of your questions. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mark. Okay, so that got answered in the chat. Perfect. Thank you, guys. Okay. So at this point that we're adding all of these scholarships and where to find them, this is a great segue into how to organize them. So I know this is a lot to look at, but this is what a sample scholarship list looks like. This is a scholarship list from last year. I pulled only local ones, so just kind of look through this. But this has the deadline right here, the name of the scholarship right here, the amount, and then which essay was used. Here's the essay topic, and then here's the word count and the link to apply. The cool thing about this, and of course I couldn't bring this in because there's like a picture of the Excel spreadsheet and not the actual spreadsheet, but this student actually down at the very bottom had a different tab, a whole different tab that had the whole essays like written into the Excel cell. So all that they had to do is just like copy and paste that essay right into the link to apply. So they just had all their essays already in a different tab below. So again, you can see how this student just reused a lot of the same essays. Why major? The student applied to Georgia State, so they reused that a couple times. They reused their Georgia Tech one a couple times. And look at how many they applied to using 3 essays. Pretty crazy, right? Any questions here? You can add so many things to this, literally. So I'm just gonna double check. There's a chat. Just double checking. So that list actually is part of one that I helped put together for a student last year. So we worked together to find ones that actually matched everything here. So these essays were ones that we wrote together. I helped them create this template, and then they worked off of this and just did strike throughs after they applied for every single one of these. You can see these were all spring ones. The student basically got to December, chose their school, freaked out about how expensive it was, and started looking for scholarships in December, which is why you don't see any fall ones right here. So this is something very easily that any of the counselors can help you put together at Moon Prep. This is something that we use all the time. And thankfully, the essay prompts for private scholarships very rarely change, so you can write them way in advance if you want to. I'll talk about this again, but I basically started writing essays for my scholarships in like my sophomore year, just getting ready for senior year. Really, I'm not kidding. So I have a few tips to share with you all when you're going after these national scholarships. So to be honest, there are some fake awards out there that are just trying to get your information to sell to other companies. There's some kind of scammy companies out there. You can usually spot these because these are the text to win or no essay or sweepstakes scholarships. I'm not saying that every scholarship out there, and I know that Niche has one that's great. I'm not saying that every scholarship out there that's lacking an essay is a scam, but a scholarship committee who's being responsible with their organization's funds will want to reward a deserving student. And that's pretty hard to determine through a text message. I'm sure you can understand the logic behind that. So just to avoid being scammed or spammed, go ahead and set up a new email address to use when applying to scholarships. Check it once a week, you're fine. Just the same thing goes for accounts you create on FastWeb and those other websites. You can use the same email and just designate it as your scholarship email address. And also, you should never have to pay a fee to get access to scholarships. If you fill out a thing and it's like, you can have access to your 50 scholarships if you pay $5. No, then that is a scam. Back away. My last piece of advice for starting early or for looking for scholarships is to start early. Again, I started in my sophomore year. That does not mean that if you're in your senior year that you're behind in any way, shape, or form. And I'll get to a couple more things like that. Is there anything missing from Q&A? Nope. Okay. I'm sorry, it doesn't give me like notifications like I thought it would, so I apologize. Any questions, just send them in. I'll get to them after the next slide too, okay? So I just wanted to go through when I said starting early. Here is a sample, and just an example of a timeline that you could use if you're starting extremely early. Again, at any point of this, you can catch up. But over here, you'll see in the junior year of the fall of the junior year, you can start researching scholarships early and begin creating your list. This is fun. You can do this early. Again, those essay topics really don't change, I promise. Like, it's a very, very rare when they change an essay topic. So you can do this a year in advance. Spring of your junior year can be spent finalizing your college list, which of course helps you prepare for those scholarships, those departmental scholarships and everything like that that will come in the coming fall. And also begin writing essays early. So you can start knocking out those essays like I showed you in that sample Excel spreadsheet. You can start writing those essays really, really early and just have them done. That's what I did. So I just had them sitting there and just shot off the applications as they came in my senior year and was just really ahead of things. During the summer of your junior year, you can finish writing all of your scholarship and admission essays just to give yourself a break for the fall. Fall, you're going to be starting your senior year. You want to get involved. You want to enjoy your last year with your friends. Get everything done in the summer. Do a science, a research program that's only going to be 4 to 6 weeks of your summer. Spend the rest of it writing essays and getting them out of your way. The fall of your senior year, apply to all of your early deadlines. That's early action, early decision, to meet all of that, like the early priority considerations. In the spring of your senior year, you should be evaluating all of your scholarship offers, February through April. And then, of course, May 1st is your National Decision Day. So that's why we need to kind of evaluate all of the financials in the spring of your senior year so that you're ready to make that decision by May 1st. Any questions at all over this? Scholarships from respective colleges we apply. I think, are you asking, you can write the essays for the scholarships? I'm confused about what you're asking. I'm so sorry. So you can definitely look ahead to see what essays are going to be required from each scholarships in advance, and also colleges in advance. So you can start writing those essays early, okay? Okay, perfect. So for the seniors and parents of seniors who might be feeling a bit behind with all this organization and planning ahead I keep mentioning, I just wanted to show you a general percentage timeline of when most scholarships are due during senior year. You have plenty of time to focus on early admissions, college applications, and then focus on the spring scholarship deadlines. 20% of those outside private scholarships are due October, November. So again, right now, we still have time. 30% of those are due December and January. And about 50% of the outside scholarships that I found in the past are due in March and April. So again, fall can be focused on still meeting those deadlines for colleges, and scholarships can kind of be reserved for December, January, and spring. I'm going to open the QA and see if there was okay. If I didn't answer your question, I definitely just type it in again and I will get to it, I promise. Okay, perfect. So just like other students who avoid applying to scholarships with essays because they're too much work, most students also skip over scholarships that are less than $10,000 because they think they're just not worth their time. But as someone who only won smaller scholarships, like $1,000 and $500, and just stacked them on top of each other to chip away at my own tuition, I'm here to tell you that they are worth your time. Because again, there's less competition, which means you can win it easier. 10 $1,000 scholarships is still $10,000, and $10,000 is definitely worth your time. Any questions about that? I'll get to in just a minute. I'll pause for questions after the end of this slide. So send them in now if you have them. Scholarship searching and applying does not need to take over your entire life, I promise. I just spent an hour or two each week. I built it into my schedule, so it was just kind of a habit. I alternated looking for new scholarships one week and applying to upcoming scholarships deadlines the next week. So I was just always searching for more, and then always just keeping the applications coming out as they came up. Do this in manageable doses. Throw in a rerun of Friends or The Office every Sunday night for just an hour or two and just knock out those scholarships. Just again, build this into your weekly schedule so it becomes a habit. Like put a sign on your door, it's scholarship hour, don't come in, Sunday night, this is my thing. I also want to take a moment to talk about the role of parents in all of this. So after spending a career talking to students about scholarships and admissions, I've seen the countless blank stares when loans are mentioned. No matter how early you've started the conversation, the financial conversation with your child, they just usually don't have the life experience to understand the ramifications of loans and tuition in their later life. So I do highly encourage becoming involved in the scholarship search. You don't need to write their essays, but helping them find them is doing nothing wrong. It's helping your family out to it financially. You should know in advance what essays your child will be writing for college applications, especially those supplemental essays. A why major or why Duke can easily be reused, recycled, just like I showed you on that sample Excel spreadsheet. That why major or why Georgia Tech was reused over and over and over again. So know what essays your child will be writing or has written in advance for their senior year, and then you can help search out scholarships that match these essays to be easily recycled. Turn this into a family competition of like whether you or your child can find the most scholarships in one sitting. Use this as bonding time and a time of encouragement of their dreams. Sit side by side with them, watching Netflix, and show them how much you want to come alongside them to make their educational dreams happen as a team effort, as a family. Okay, checking Q&A, anything? Okay, perfect. I think we're good. Again, any questions, send them in. I'll help. I can answer anything. I'm just going to double check that there's nothing in chat. Nope. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're going to cover the essay. Since we've already covered the fact that scholarships without essays aren't really worth your time, since again, everybody is going after those easy ones like text to win, that's harder to win those. You can still do them, they're just harder to win because everybody's doing them. We need to cover what scholarships committees are actually looking for in your essay. So first off, cater to your audience. What I mean by this is pay attention to the company offering the scholarship. Again, when I was in that local independent business association scholarship committee, the essays written about how a boy started their own lawn mowing business, and then they took the money from the first summer and put it into, and they invested it into, equipment the second summer, and then the third summer they got to, hire employees. Those always won over essays describing a passion for nursing and helping others. So there it was the audience that mattered, not necessarily the story behind it. So that being said, it's also important to show your personality and be creative with these essays. So many students at this point are just not very skilled writers yet. They haven't attended college yet to be great writers. And their essays read like kind of like an extended resume. Like, my name is Michaela, and for the past 2 summers, I've taught piano lessons. It's honestly not that thrilling, right? So imagine reading 20 essays like this last one I just said, and then flipping the page to read, when my fingertips touch ivory, I feel more at home than when I walk in my own front door. I'm like, okay, now I'm intrigued. Where's this going? I like this. It's very interesting. Any chance to brighten the reader's day will stand out in the best way of the normal essays that they're reading. And finally, I have my favorite thing that I always talk to students about. We have the grocery store analogy. This is something I made up. What I mean by this is that the scholarship applications are just not as extensive as the college app. As I told you before, they maybe get your activities resume, and sometimes they ask for a recommendation, but really all they have is the essay to get to know you. That's really what this is based on. So they just don't have a further chance to get to know you outside the essay. It's your only chance to really show your personality. So imagine your scholarship essay is basically walking up to someone in a grocery store, handing them your essay, and asking them to contribute $20 to your college fund. Now, if you've picked a sweet old lady, you might not even need an essay, but honestly, in the big picture, it's kind of the way scholarships work. You're just submitting an essay and hoping for money. So make sure this grocery store analogy works for the essays you submit. Anybody have any questions about essays? I'm going to show you a sample one in a second. Nothing in the Q&A. Okay, got it. So I have to keep like clicking it. It won't just like pop up for me. Okay, so every student that works with me knows I hate being vague. I never like to leave anyone without an example. I typically, every single time I'm working with a student on a supplemental essay, I usually give them 2 or 3 opening lines, and then hopefully that sparks something with them, because I hate giving them just like, go and do it yourself. So let's check out this sample essay. Now, this is a bullet point version of a real essay because it's really hard to fit 500 words on the screen and have you all still be able to read the font. So let's read this together and see how the grocery store analogy is in motion here. So the prompt is, tell us why you chose your major. This is a common go-to questions for scholarships to ask, by the way, very common. So I taught myself to knit as a way to connect with my grandmother, as age kept her from attending all of my school plays. After she passed, I continued knitting for the memories it held. After knitting myself a new fall wardrobe, with a little bit of humor there, I began knitting winter scarves and hats to donate during the holidays to my local homeless shelter, as well as knitting small bunnies and bears for a local foster child facility. I also hosted knitting classes in churches and nursing homes to connect with other knitting enthusiasts. As I look forward to my college aspirations, I'm excited to pursue a major in education. I hope to continue finding new ways to connect with others, just as a simple act of knitting brought me closer to my grandmother in her last years. Again, that's a bullet point. It's not the exact words a student used, but it's the general gist of it. So why is this essay effective? We could do a whole other webinar on this, but it boils down to the fact that you believe the author. You get to know her and her family in a few short words, like 100 words, and by the end, you probably want to hang out with her. Like, she honestly sounds like a good person. This isn't some unattainable, amazing story of someone escaping a war. This is a normal girl next door that did something worthwhile and cool with a hobby. By the end, you genuinely believe she's going to do something great with her education, as she's already proven that she'll do a lot of good with very little resources. In short, she would probably earn your $20 in a grocery store, right? Okay, so if you liked that essay, I'm going to check Q&A. Nope. Okay, good. If you liked that essay approach and feel like your scholarship essays or your Common App essay might benefit from having one of us work with you, the good news is that we're here for you. The thing that really sets us apart is that when you work with us, you're really working with our entire team. We have these staff meetings where we ask each other advice. This is great because we all come from different backgrounds of different strengths. Like I told you, I came from admissions background. Among the other counselors, we have other incredibly gifted writers, much better than me even, and other published admissions experts. So all of us together are on your team. Our approach is more personalized with resources like online classes and ebooks to help you even in between sessions too. And honestly, it's just something I'm really appreciative to be a part of. So if you want Moon Prep in your corner, we would love to meet you, but I know Mark has a little more information about that to share. Thank you all for attending. It was great to meet you. And if there's any last minute questions, Mark, did I miss anything?
No, I think you got it, Michaela. Thank you very much
Yay,
today.
perfect.
And I think that was no more questions. So we really appreciate everyone coming by today. And certainly this was a great presentation. And as Michaela was mentioning, this is exactly what our counselors here do. So they can work with you to put together a list like this and really help you with your search and filling all these out. We don't want you to feel intimidated by it or overwhelmed by it, because it certainly can be overwhelming, and we're here to help. As I mentioned before, I'm going to put it up right now. I have a link up in the chat, and we're going to have a series of webinars starting October 1st, every couple weeks to, just answer any questions about the process here of filling out your applications. We'll also be sending an email to everyone with this information. If anybody would like any more information about how Michaela or any of our counselors here can help you, I put my email in there as well. Just shoot me an email, and I can share with you how we can get you started here at Moon Prep. But we appreciate everyone being with us today. And if you have any questions, you can obviously, if you didn't answer them here, you can send them to my email, and I will make sure that Michaela answers them. And again, we'll be following up over the next 24 hours with a link to this webinar. And we wish all of you good luck. And again, if there's no other questions, we will close this out today. Michaela, thank you very much. A lot of information that we shared today.
Absolutely. We've got more, so contact us.
We do.
We'll talk about it.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Right.